Yo, what's going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, we're diving into Treasure Map versus Alvaro Pizarro and Ambush Kuzan with the full boosted meta. Now, this is my particular teams. This is what I'll be running to be grinding Treasure Map at the moment, and we are using Coby, Garp, and Kuzan on our final boss team. On top of that, obviously, we're using all of the characters from the last couple of months. I don't have the Legend Garp or the Sword Donnies, so there is that to note. We aren't including them on our final boss teams, but I do think we have a pretty good array of points spread out across our teams. So hopefully this video helps you guys out. If you did manage to summon the entire batch, you got very lucky. These particular teams might be the way to go and help you guys maximize your gains for this particular treasure map. So starting off with the ambush against Kuzan, the team looks not like this, actually. It looks a little bit different. It looks actually like this. Come on, there it is. Beautiful. So I actually found a way to bring Beppo on this particular team as a 1.4 times booster, as we can use the Suru support on Garp. If you guys don't have the Suru support, you can go back to that first team that you guys saw there with Luffy and Momo over Beppo. That's definitely going to work. And then you can use the Sengoku support on Garp to get around all the damage reduction. But with that Suru support, she actually gives you end of turn damage, which can get around the resilience. And because Beppo is damage reduction and he's a 1.4 times booster, we can actually do some pretty fun stuff here. Now, if you guys have the Sword Donnies, I believe the Sword Donnies are going to reduce threshold by 90%. So they should work on this particular team over Nami Karina, because you can get, I believe you can get, with the Sword Donnies, you can get all of the cooldowns back for Kuzan and Garp, I think. On turn 2, you're going to remove the special bind with the Coby super class, as well as his special, removing 6 turns, because you have 2 Cobys, you get 12 turns, set a territory, and that activates. The combination of Kuzan and Garp is going to get around some damage reduction and the defense up, and then Beppo is going to clear the rest of that damage reduction and give you a color affinity boost, which is really, really nice. So you do have to obviously sit through triple special activation, but look, at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. You can sort of spam that, get the 3-turn color affinity. If you're like early on, you don't really need the color affinity in terms of damage, but later you will definitely need that. And as you can see, you have plenty of damage there. The end of turn damage from Suru takes care of the resilience, and you're just off to the races with the rest of the team. So moving on to the final stage, you have to get around defense up, threshold, attack down. Then there is also the random bind on your crewmates, but obviously because you have double Coby, you just get around that nicely. And then there's also a full bottle block ops, which Coby also takes care of. So Coby super type first, or super class, sorry, is going to help out with the block orbs, as well as giving shooters the secondary fighter class. I believe this is really only for that Sword Donnie unit, but look, at the end of the day, it is what it is. We're going to use Coby special. He gives us an orb buff, he gives us territory, and he removes the binds. Nami Karina are going to remove the defense up and the threshold, and as you can see, we actually have the Garp and the Kuzan special back for a second time, so they can actually both remove the defense up and the attack down using their special a second time, thanks to that cooldowns from Nami Karina or the Sword Donnies, whichever ones you guys have. The Sword Donnies, they're going to give you more points, but obviously I don't have the Sword Donnies, so Nami Karina was literally just the easiest replacement. And as you can see, wham bam, thank you ma'am. Pretty simple stuff. So that is the Kuzan invasion. It is a very, very annoying fight, especially if you don't have double Coby, or if you don't have the right pieces to the puzzle, like the Giants or particular supports. It's a nightmare of a fight. It was very, very, very poorly designed, but it is what it is. Here we are. So let's move on to the next mini boss fight. I'm not going to bore you guys with the map. My loading screens and my connecting screens have been taking absolutely forever lately, so we're just going to sort of fast forward. So starting off with Sanjay and Wolfie was the first encounter. This particular team is very similar to the team that you guys saw in the No New Batch video. Basically, all I did was sub on the free-to-play Kuzan as well as Treasure Map Frankie. Both of these characters are shooter characters. They give you a 1.25 and a 1.4 boost respectively, rather than 1.2 times boost. At this particular point where I'm at, Kid is basically just wiping the stage with his special, so I don't really need the extra damage with type advantage units on the team. Eventually, I'm going to need that, and I can sort of substitute out Frankie and put on something like Shinobu, who can give me an attack boost, And then I can utilize something like the Lucci support for some color affinity. But for now, this is going to work absolutely fine. We are using Zoro as a wave clearer. We have Shirahoshi for the rainbow orbs. And then literally on the final stage, as long as you have 4 shooters, Kid is going to take care of the binds. And then you can just use one Kid special to remove the defense up and the damage reduction. And then use the other Kid special to wipe away the mob units and do a lot of damage in the back. There is no normal attacks only on this particular stage, which is really interesting. So they kind of want you to utilize shooter characters. They want you to utilize Kid. They're doing everything they can to make Kid actually viable here. And he does work quite well, especially if you're fighting Sancho Wolf on the map like I was. You can literally just use Kid to just kill. Like, it works great. I had the Shiki support for a little bit of an attack boost, but at the end of the day, it's really not necessary. It's just going to help out later down the line by not needing to use another special like the Kuzan special for cooldowns, as well as then that Shinobu special as well. So that's the team I'm rocking right now. It's going to work out fairly nicely for a little while, and it's not exactly the hardest fight. Moving on to the second mini boss fight now. I believe we go up against Shiryu. Yep. So Shiryu the Rain, utilizing Nami. This particular team is exactly the same as you guys saw in the No New Batch team. I did slap on a support on Sanji, because if you, sorry, not Sanji, on Zoro, because if you guys don't actually get the bird, Zoro is not actually going to kill all the mob units unless he has a very high stat boosting support. Roger, level limit break 5, as well as limit break expansion, gives you 11% base stats. He has a lot of attack, man. The 6+ Roger has a lot of attack, so he works great as an attack boosting support. And with that, Zoro should be able to kill the mobs whether or not you have the bird or not. As for the other wave clearer, we're using double Nami here. Nami has the limit break ability to give herself cooldowns. She's boosted on this particular fight, so you can get her special off on turn 1 to just kill the mob units. Zoro kills the second stage, gives you the 3 turns of orbs. You can carry into the final stage, so you have a nice chunky orb boost for that fight as well. On the final stage, there's damage reduction, there's defense up, there is stun, and then there's also paralysis. So Nami's just taking care of the paralysis. The Enel support takes care of the stun, but you could definitely use something like Pudding on any Sanji on this particular team, or you could just substitute Sanji off, bring any Yamato with those Samurai Donnies. That'll actually work as well. As for the defense up, we're using Kid Law. They're going to set defense to 0. They give us an attack buff, and as you can see, it's just very, very nice damage output with the Nami team. You want Rainbow Orbs because you have an attack down if you use any type orb, but remember, Kid Law are also going to give you tandem orbs if you want to sit through the special. For me, just having the rainbow orbs is faster, but if you guys want more points, you technically don't need Shirahoshi. You could definitely substitute her out for something else. So that was the Nami team. It works very, very well. I think I actually managed to get the chest, if I remember correctly, and lo and behold, this is what I hate about these chests. The rate of the shit items just seems to be so damn high, because whilst I did get some level limit break posters in the last one, the next one was like barrier pierce tablets, and then I got dex damage reduction tablets. Like, that's just so dog shit. So dog shit. I understand, honestly, for someone out there, like, these like 10 tablet spots are very, very good, and I'm glad they're there, but I just wish that the rates were just a little bit higher for some of the good items. Moving on to the Alvira Pizarro fight, the very first one, the first mini boss one, not the island Alvira Pizarro, back on the day when he didn't have a devil fruit. We are using Crocodile. Crocodile is fantastic for this particular fight. Another option is V1 Kaido, or anyone that does a HP cut at the start of the turn. The reason you want it at the start of the turn is because there is a damage limiter on the final stage, and using characters like Crocodile or Kaido cuts the HP before they put the damage limiter up, which works perfectly, so that way you don't have to take 3 turns. They really want you to use Hawkins on this fight, but if you use double Hawkins, you're going to like extend the counter to 3, and then Pizarro, like, you have to do 90% HP, then he full heals, he puts up damage and all. It's a big kerfuffle. So just use Kaido, just use Crocodile. Whichever one you have, both are going to work fine. But as you can see, we use Brook for a wave clearer, and then I'm using Yamato for orbs. If you guys have the new Momo, you can slap the new Momo on this particular team, or you can use Hiyori here and then the new Momo on the other team. And that way you get a full board of Wano orbs. But for me, I don't have him, so I'm just using this Yamato. Another really good option is the rare recruit Brook and Frankie from the N Mizora batch. They also allow you to start with 1 orbs either on the top or the bottom row, depending on whichever one you use respectively. Obviously, we can't use Brook because we are using Brook as my wave clearer. On death, you take 80,000 damage, which will go down to about 62 with damage reduction sockets and Crocodile as captain and stuff like that. But as you can see, because we have Crocodile as captain, we can actually kill in the first turn. We don't have to worry about that 90% damage limiter. Works very, very nicely. I would highly recommend doing this particular strat than using Hawkins. It's just going to save you a lot a lot of time. On to the final mini-boss fight now. We have Mr. Vasco Shit. And for Vasco Shit, they recommend using Shanks and the Giant. So that's exactly what we're going to do. They make this fight very trivial. They make it very easy. I understand people are probably using Kid or Shanks on the final boss fight if they have them because they're a 1.35 booster. But look, they don't really fit on that particular team. They don't really work super nicely. You definitely can make it work, don't get me wrong. But just having them over on this fight just makes it a lot more trivial, makes it a lot easier to deal with, and just less of a headache when going into this fight. There is Special Bind and there is Special Reverse, so like Halloween Ace, one of the greatest treasure map units of all time, works exceptionally here. Or you could use something like Ace Yamato or Annie Roger, anyone that basically just removes Special Bind as a captain. They're actually going to work very, very nicely too. As you guys saw, I used Vista for turn 1 wave clearing. I used Izo Kiku for stage 2 to get a chain lock. Hiyori's here just for the Wano orbs, and then we're using the Giants to basically cover us for everything. They remove the Special Bind, they remove the burn, they give us an attack boost, they give us increased damage taken, and it's just a very easy kill with Shanks. You obviously have Shanks' special for a territory to overwrite the enemy territory a little bit later, but for now, we don't need it, so we're just basically going to single tap with Shanks and move on with our day. Because we just are. It worked very, 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 very nicely. Very, very nice, Shanks. Very, very nice. On to the final boss fight against Alvaro Pizarro. The team looks a little bit like this. That VV spot, honestly, it's just a complete flex spot. Put whatever you want there. If you have the Sword Donnies, chuck them on. If you have any other 1.35 booster you're not using, just chuck them on. I'm just using VV because VV's like the only character I wasn't using on another team. Like, you could put her on the Crocodile team and then bring Hawkins over here if you want to. That'll work quite nicely. The downside to the Kuzan unit, the PK Kuzan being a Kuzan, and then they gave us an Aokiji rare recruit, means you can't run the two 1.4 boosters here. It's very annoying, but look, it is what it is. So this is the highest amount of points that I could get for my particular builds, but it should work fairly nicely for a very, very long time. The ship is quite essential. You do need an attack down removing ship if you are running this particular team. But if you don't have a ship or you don't have the supports that work nicely on my team, you can just substitute VV out for the Psy free-to-play Robin. Psy free-to-play Robin is just a perfect substitute in if you guys are struggling for all of the support options and all of that crazy shenaniganry that you guys see on my team, because you do want to get around Despair and attack down on the final stage. On stage 2 though, there is Block Orbs and there is Bind. This is where we're going to use one of the Coby's super classes and then use the special. That takes care of the Bind because you put up the territory, he removes the Bind. And then we're just going to use VV special here because we can't use it on the final stage. VV gives us a healing ability and healing gets turned to damage on the final stage, so we definitely don't want to do that. On the final stage, Pizarro is weak to fighters. He's going to despair us. He applies attack down. He gives us more block orbs, and then he converts all healing to damage. He also has 2 turns of damage nullification and full immunity except for increased damage taken, so just be mindful of that. On this particular stage, we're going to use Garp and Kuzan. They're going to remove the attack down and the despair, but they only remove 4 turns respectively. So if you are utilizing these characters, you do need supports or other characters that can help you out with the rest of the attack down and the rest of the despair. It's 10 turns of despair, so 7 after sockets, and 9 turns of attack down. So you do need like 5 extra turns of attack down as well as 3 extra turns of despair. So you need to work that out with sockets. For me, I'm using Sengoku, the rare recruit Sengoku, who does 1 turn of attack down and 1 turn of despair. He works perfectly on Garp. We have the rare recruit Law, who works great. He can help out with some attack down. And then I have the Onigumu support on Kuzan to help us out with some more despair. Plus I have Opera support. You've got options there. But as I mentioned, if you guys don't have any of those supports or you're short by like 1 turn or whatnot, just use the free-to-play Robin. She's going to work absolutely fine, and she's going to help you with the 5 turns of despair and 5 turns of attack down. As you guys can see there, it works very, very nicely. You get lots of extra drops, and the full batch team works superbly. Now, that's going to wrap up the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. Most importantly, if you guys are in this beautiful world, please make sure you enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.